Hi everyone, that was the quickest 30 seconds ever. Welcome back to episode 2 of the March 8 LinkedIn show. It's really great to be back. Obviously, here in the UK, we had so many Monday bank holidays that it's been a while since we've had our last show. Obviously not complaining, but yeah, don't worry. Today's episode is going to be absolutely jam-packed. The overall discussion and topic today is focusing around facing and overcoming your fear. So we do a little bit of a breakdown into imposter syndrome, and kind of that's one of the key topics in our magazine as well. So you'll see us do a little bit of a deep dive into that. But of course, I'm your host for today, Emily Cook, and I'm excited to invite to the stage March 8's Editor-in-Chief, Lucy Buckles, who'll be joining us in today's conversation.
Hi, Emily. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. I'm good. I'm glad to be back, actually. How are you?
Yeah, it's really glad to be back. It feels like such a long time, doesn't it? So, I mean, it has been quite a while, but yeah, it's been a really good day today, hasn't it? Because obviously we've launched our second issue of March 8, which is always so exciting when a new issue goes live. Yeah, have you had the chance to have a look at it yet?
Of course I have. Of course, number one fan. Yeah, no, it's a super exciting edition. That is kind of the overarching topic of today's conversation, of course. It's about the magazine, it's about fear. But before we kind of do a bit of a deep dive, I just want to say hello to everyone. Don't forget to vote in our poll. So obviously we like to include everyone in our conversation. We want to hear from you guys. So there should be a poll being linked in the chat shortly, and make sure you go vote. So I just want to read out the title of the poll, which is: what percentage of women turned to a mentor or advisor when they were doubting their abilities? Obviously, this is all based around imposter syndrome. So we've got 4 answers: 18%, 36%, 54%, or 72%. So yeah, everyone go vote in the chat. And we will get back to it at the end of the show, and we'll release and announce the answer as well. So definitely looking forward to that.
Exciting to find out the answer to that one. I think it's quite tough, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the ones where obviously we talk about mentorship a lot at March 8, and yeah, it's one of the ones where it's either going to really surprise you, it's going to be either really high or really low. So I'll keep it a secret for now. But obviously we've introduced the topic. Lucy, I kind of want to hand it over to you now. This is obviously your baby, the editor-in-chief of March 8 magazine. You know, this issue featured such a broad range of women. We kind of obviously want to start asking the question: how is it that fear is something that all of these women have in common? You know, when was this a overarching topic that you actually noticed when putting together the magazine?
Well, it's actually quite a hard question to answer, because when I was previously when I've been speaking to various different women, I found that a lot of women actually highlight the different fears, but it's not always just fear is like the typical sense of fear. It comes in so many different shapes and forms. And I think I personally love, and I really wanted to highlight how it is a theme that is in all of us, and it's an emotion that all of us feel, and it's completely normal, because like I said, we all feel like that. So it's so important that we can actually identify that in other people. So even before I was starting writing this issue, I realized that it's such an important topic. And then once I'd obviously done the interviews, I'd been writing things and just going through the proofing process, I was able to see how fear pops up in so many different ways, and how these women were actually able to speak about it, but in such a unique way. So, for example, our cover star, Sarah Byrne, obviously she plays for England Rugby, and she's just an absolute icon, force of nature. But in her interview, she really explained how when she was growing up, she didn't have the easiest time, because she was unable to grasp the subjects like maths and English, which are typically make you like a good student. And she actually found herself leaning towards sports and more creative things. And she had to grow into this, her own body and her own self. So she was actually able to become who she actually is through facing the fears of not necessarily fitting in. And that's why I really loved her article. And that's why, she's our cover star, because she really does set the tone of just be who you are, do what you want to do, overcome these fears, and you can do whatever you like.
Definitely. And it's, oh my God, it's such a massive topic as well. Like, not only just fear, but she obviously talks about how this kind of developed in high school, during education, during the most important time of your life, and this fear kind of developed of feeling maybe a little bit like the odd one out, which is interesting because look at her now. She's literally just been, she's just won a tournament and she's absolutely smashing it. So I think it's interesting and inspiring to see women who you think are just absolutely killing it experience the same feelings that you have. So that's kind of the topic of this conversation, and why it's so important that we use our platform to discuss these issues. Obviously, we're so proud that we can talk about these things so openly and share these on our platform. So obviously, that's just one amazing woman that we had in our magazine. Lucy, why don't you tell me a little bit about who your favourite feature is? I hate asking this because it's a tricky question, because you always don't know what to say. But who was your favourite feature and why?
I was going to say, you did ask me last time which my favourite feature was, and it was an impossible task. And I feel this issue makes it even harder to answer. But if you're holding a gun to my head, I would probably say How She Got There, Rachel Corp. I do have a soft spot for these features, because I feel whenever we speak to the women and we are going through the hoops to fill in the blanks kind of thing, they're just so raw, and they're just really honest about their career and their life. And it's so interesting to see such a powerful and inspirational woman, and actually the stepping stones in which she took to get there. And of course, Rachel Corp has just been promoted to ITN CEO, so massive congratulations to her. And she talks about how obviously at university she didn't take a media-based course, and how she ended up just almost falling into journalism, because she just had a natural instinct to want to find a really good story. And this, I think it was at the age of 21, if my memory serves me right. I may be wrong on that. But she went and she actually reported on the front line of the Bosnian War. And that's insane when you think that, when you're 21, you're so young, and especially just to be fresh out of university. I think it was just so inspirational. And obviously throughout her career, she went to more wars, and she shares some stories that she had to go through. And I remember speaking to her and just being like, oh my goodness, like I want to know more. Like I was absolutely on the tip of my seat. And I really hope that the readers that read the article feel the same anticipation, I'm sure they will, about her story, and just finding out more about how she became a freelance journalist at the beginning of her career to now this absolute powerhouse of a woman. So yeah, amazing stuff from Rachel. But how about you? What was your favorite article?
I think I always sometimes feel naturally drawn to some things just based on like my personal passions and things. And there was a particular piece which I was interested in, which is obviously the Game Changers piece. It probably is my favorite just because it discusses, it discusses female representation in gaming and kind of the stereotypes, the stigma, everything that's attached to being a girl gamer. I literally hate that phrase. But it's a really interesting discussion, and from someone who personally enjoys gaming as a hobby, like even that, I just don't like saying it because there's this weird stereotype attached to enjoying games if you're a woman. It's a very bizarre thing, and I think this topic, this article, what it really, it does really well is it talks about the fact that gaming is no longer an all boys club. It's no longer, teenagers sitting in the dark basements drinking Monster Energy drink, killing people on a screen. Like it really is not that at all. It has expanded massively, and I think that's what this article does so nicely, as well is it kind of introduces how women can now enter the industry, whether it's through coding or games design or diversity within gaming is a massive topic, like everything. Yeah, I think it's really fantastic, and obviously I think you did a great job with this one. Honestly, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think this is actually probably one of my close favorite ones as well. I really enjoyed researching and speaking to both Lucy and Lauren about the topic. And I think I'm not a gamer myself, and I think that's why I found it so interesting, because I had no idea that these were such prevalent issues. And some of the statistics that we found out, for example, that there are more women over the age of 18 playing games than there are boys under the age of 18. And as you said, that perfectly plays on the stereotype of a gamer is a young, typically teenager boy who sits in his room, doesn't want to go out, doesn't want to, doesn't have a social life, doesn't want to do anything. And it's so wrong. And I think this, through the article, we really wanted to be able to fight those stereotypes and to say, not just is that stereotype wrong, but more importantly, that the gaming industry is so important for girls, and there are so many career options out there. And gaming isn't the as Lucy says, the naughty little cousin. But it's actually, such a great industry in its own right, and there are so many opportunities for girls, whether that be, designing or whatever that you want to do. There will be a niche in there for you. So it's really important to encourage more girls that if you're a gamer and you love gaming, then there will be something out there for you, and that you should follow that path, and you shouldn't be told, oh, don't do that, it's not right. So yeah, I really did love that article myself as well.
Yeah, I think as well, this is something that I'm quite passionate about. I actually wrote my dissertation on, or my whole final year project was about gaming, and I did a fashion degree. So you can imagine, there wasn't many people on my course that I could actually talk to this about. Gaming wasn't a particularly cool topic. But I did a whole degree or a whole dissertation on how the gaming industry can actually benefit from the fashion industry. So I try to make it a bit cooler. But yeah, I think it's such an interesting topic, and this, this element of fear that gets attached alongside it is pretty interesting, because it is, it's pretty prevalent. So yeah, I think even within the theme of fear, it fits really well.
Exactly, yeah, and so many women have to hide behind male names as well. I think that was one of the reasons why I thought fear really fit with this article so well. But I mean, another article that really highlights a different form of fear in the workplace is the 8 Minutes with Yasmina Headhill, which she's obviously the imposter syndrome coach that we spoke to. And I don't know if you know a lot about imposter syndrome, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's one of them terms which I am not I was recently familiar with. So kind of being in my first year of a corporate job, imposter syndrome, I started seeing things just through what we do on March8, through just LinkedIn and reading some articles. But in terms of a definition, I don't think I'd be able to tell you what it means. So do you have like a precise little definition of what you could show our audience?
I mean, I don't know if I can recite word for word what Yasmina said, but from what I've learned, I would definitely say that imposter syndrome, most importantly, is something that more often than not we all feel. And I think it's about 75-80% of us at some stage of our life will feel imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is basically the idea that you shouldn't be where you are, and you're an imposter, you're a fraud, and you are pretty much waiting to be called out for where you are. So, for example, this could be if you've got a promotion, you may automatically think, oh, that's amazing, but my coworker is actually more deserving of it than I am. But, I'm still happy in this position, but am I good? And that kind of thing. And it can happen in so many different aspects of the career. And that's one of the things that we really highlighted in the article, is that it is a really, really normal feeling, and also how to overcome it. And Yasmina says that, actually it's sometimes the most confident people that hide behind the mask of imposter syndrome. And that it's not just, you know, the quieter person in the office. It can literally be anyone. And I mean, even myself, I've definitely experienced imposter syndrome. I remember my first proper, when I first took editorship, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, I honestly was so scared, not because I didn't think I could do the job, but I just didn't fit in very well with the company culture. And I felt that there was always somebody that could be doing a better job than me. And over the period of time, about 2 years that I was actually in that role, it really began to weigh quite heavily on me, to the point where it affected my professional life and it affected my personal life as well. And it was very isolating, because you can't really tell people. You're not going to go to your boss, as Yasmina says. You're not going to go to your boss and say, oh, I don't think I can do my job okay. And you may not want to admit it to your friends and your family and your colleagues as well. So it is such an isolating fear that I really wanted to just show our readers and share with our readers that it is normal and it is okay to feel like that, and that there are methods which will help you overcome these feelings, and just kind of, it's okay, and understand that it's okay to be worried, or, you know, to be a little bit fearful. So does that help sum it up a little bit?
Definitely, more than enough. And even, you know, it means that I can relate to it when you understand that it really is about self-doubt, and it really is about kind of lacking that confidence. And I think that what's so important about what you've done with this magazine and what we're doing at March8 is it's all about representation. So when you see and hear successful women who you look up to and aspire to be like, talk about feelings that you actually feel, you know, day to day, in your workplace, it just completely validates you. And I think it brings you together, and it kind of just, I don't know, having a tie to a woman that you find so inspiring, and, you know, you would maybe assume that she's never had a doubtful or lack of confidence thought in her life. I think being able to recognize that it is normal is empowering, right? As it is, it means that we can share our stories, whether they're good or bad, and kind of come together to overcome these feelings. And I think something that I find really interesting about all of this is, obviously, you know, there are statistics about women suffering with imposter syndrome, and I'm sure that it is highly women-based. Obviously, this is some reason they don't go for these promotions, and they have this lack of confidence, and it's the reason that they don't put their hand up or push themselves forward, you know, for a next career job, is because they have these feelings of self-doubt. And I think that's something that we really need to target, and, if, you know, we can help, obviously, because sometimes you just have to jump the gun and just believe in yourself. And I think sometimes that takes a group of people to make you feel empowered. So I think that's kind of what we're trying to do here at March8, obviously, is to elevate, inspire, motivate women across the globe. So if we can use our platform to do that, then we absolutely will. But yeah, I think it's an exciting topic. I don't know if, Lucy, you had anything else to add about it. I mean, thank you so much for sharing your story as well. I think that's so important. It's in itself is to share your personal attachment to the issue, and it makes it that much more real and that much more relatable as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what we really want to show through the issue, is just how everybody feels at some point. I mean, even Sarah Byrne, I mean, she is this absolutely incredible sports athlete, and she even says how, you know, she had these struggles. And I think when you see somebody as iconic as her, I mean, she's on our magazine cover, she's absolutely fantastic. And if you see that she has feelings like that, then it makes you feel, oh, okay, I can also feel like that. And it's like I said earlier, it's less isolating.
Definitely. And we're about to jump to Sarah Byrne's video. Obviously, we are lucky enough that we got to speak to Sarah, and obviously get our team out there to record a video as well, which is featured in our magazine. But before we jump to that ad break, I just want to recognise some people who we have in the chat today, which is super exciting. So of course we have Nina, which is amazing because Nina is a speaker at our event coming up in June. So hello, shout out Nina. We've got Rebecca as well, who is obviously March 8's designer, lurking in the chat. Everyone congratulate Becca. Bex, she's done such an amazing job with this magazine. We've got Stacey as well, always encouraging us. There she is. We've got Saskia. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but that is such a lovely name. Thank you so much for your compliments. And of course, we've got some feedback about the poll. So I'm going to loop back to that in the end when we discuss the answer. But now I want to jump to our ad break. Thanks everyone for watching so far. And stick around, watch this amazing Sarah Byrne video. You won't want to miss this. I'll catch you afterwards.
My name's Sarah Byrne. I'm an England rugby player and I also play for Bristol Bears. And I'm a tight head, which is the number 3. I think I was 10 years old, could be 11 or somewhere around there. And me and my cousin were really close in age. And we used to always do every sport. I think he probably found me a bit annoying. I used to copy every sport that he did. And eventually he did rugby and I went down and had a go. And I absolutely loved it. And I've played at London Irish and I carried on playing with the boys and all the way through up until now. So that's how I started. When I was younger, it was difficult because you were in a boys' team and you were the only girl, and they didn't want to pass you the ball. You weren't meant to be playing rugby. So, I was quite shy then. But I think after the first season of just going a bit crazy, I was player of the year for the boys, and they were all really lovely to me.
There's Byrne on the break again. Hunt's inside her, but she doesn't need her. Sarah Byrne. Well, that is just ridiculous. Tight heads are not supposed to score tries like that.
Tight heads are not meant to step like that.
I definitely had to prove myself. A girl playing rugby, and you're also probably a little bit bigger than some of the boys, and that might intimidate them, or it's not something that you would usually see. When I played rugby, women weren't paid. It was a hobby, it was an out-and-out hobby, and my dad always used to say to me, oh, one day you could get paid for this. And I was like, don't be so stupid, Dad, women will never get paid, like when I was 12. And look at me now, I'm a full-time England rugby player. So it's crazy how much the world has changed in my lifetime. So hopefully opportunities like that will start to pop up in more creative areas of society, and they'll get more respect, and people will enjoy that kind of lifestyle more, rather than being forced into things that they maybe not enjoy so much, but they know they'll get a good wage from it.
And welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that video. Honestly, that gives me goosebumps. I think she is so amazing. It's honestly so exciting. We get to feature her in our, second edition, and to have her on the cover. She is amazing, and even the things that she says in that video about, the difference it has been in her lifetime, and she's still young, is super fascinating. We look up to her massively, and we've got some really exciting projects that we're going to announce with her soon. We have to keep them on the wraps for now, but let's just say we're going to be working very closely with Sarah in an upcoming project, which we're all super excited about. But yeah, how was writing that article for you, Lucy? I mean, she just seems phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, because obviously whenever you interview somebody and you turn it from an interview to the words, you have a lot of extra words, and obviously I can't just write forever. So it was actually quite hard to make sure that I'm only including the best bits, because there were so many good bits about it. And there were so many times when I was writing it, and you just think, oh God, that's such a lovely thing to say, and it just it really touches you, and it's just she's such an influential figure to young girls and to young women, that she just, she's like we say on the cover, she thinks it's a superpower to be different. And it was really, really wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And it's lovely as well because you see how successful she is in the news as well. Like, I mean, I think it was literally only the other day where she scored a try from the halfway line within being on the pitch in 30 seconds. And it's, you can see the video as well online, and you just watch her and you just think, whoa, like you are incredible. Like you're an incredible sportswoman. So yeah, I absolutely, yeah, fantastic.
I mean, she's killing it. Yeah, she's absolutely killing it. And you just see how lovely she is as well in that video. Like, she's just giggling away, and I love it because she's out there literally playing rugby, which people consider to be such a rough sport, but she's such a sweetheart. So it's honestly, it's great. And I mean, we're actually getting close to wrapping up the end of the show now. So I guess we should jump back to the poll, which is still live if people want to be voting in it. So we've got obviously our answers in now, but there is a few minutes left if you'd like to just chuck in a quick vote. Obviously, as today's conversation has been about imposter syndrome and kind of facing and overcoming your fears, we found a really interesting study by KPMG, which was based on executive women and their struggles with self-doubt. And a few interesting facts. The findings showed that 75% of female execs across all industries have experienced imposter syndrome in their careers, which is a massive, massive figure. And we asked our March 8 community what percentage of women turned to a mentor or advisor when they were doubting their abilities. And I think this is a massively important topic. We have a March 8 mentorship program that we've already launched and is running. Mentorship is such a kind of core value to building a career. Most women that we talk to have a great support system, especially Sarah Byrne. She spoke about how great her team is to support her. And I think that's why it was important that we kind of honed in on this topic. So I think now, let me refresh the page. It's time to read out the answers and then I'll reveal the results. So the highest voted answer was 18%. So our audience think that 18% is the highest, or is the percentage of women that turn to a mentor. Lucy, did you have a guess? Do you think it was high or do you think it was low?
I thought it was quite high, if I'm honest, but I don't know if maybe I've just read too many articles, or I mean, I don't know the answer, so I might be completely wrong. So.
No, well, interestingly enough, the answer is 72%. So interestingly, to overcome imposter syndrome, it was found that 72% of executive women looked to the advice of a mentor or even a trusted advisor when they were doubting their abilities, especially when taking on new roles. So I think that is massively important. I'm surprised by that. I honestly thought it'd be a lot lower. What's your take on it, Lucy?
I think before I really did my research into it, before this issue, I think I would have been with you on it. But I think the more I actually, delve into the topic and really did my research, that's when I realised that maybe it would be a little bit higher. So yeah, quite happy with myself on that one, actually.
Well done, you smashed it.
Yeah,
A+ for you. But yeah, I think it's massively important. Obviously, we have a mentorship program. We encourage women to turn for help if they ever need anything. That's what we would like our platform to be. If anybody needs any help, then we are always here. We have a great network of people who are completely open to help. Obviously, like-minded women who share the same values. That's why we obviously have a mentorship. We also have one launching next year as well. So it's massively important to us, and seeing that number 72% is quite encouraging. It shows that women are actually reaching out for help rather than kind of suffering in silence. So that's something that I think we're proud to represent. But I feel like I need to wrap up the show a little bit now because we're about to hit the 30-minute mark. I think obviously today's discussion is massively important, and we could talk about it for, probably hours. We could all dive into our own, deepest career stories and journeys and really dig out where we have experienced self-doubt or imposter syndrome. But I think to wrap up today, I want to thank everyone so much for tuning in. Don't forget that today obviously was the launch of the second edition, the May edition of March 8 magazine. So please do go check that out. Lucy has put all of her hard work into it, and it absolutely shows. I'm sure you will all agree. It is a fantastic issue. So a round of applause to her. I think she deserves all of the credit on that one. And also I would like to do a quick mention of the event that we have coming up. I mentioned it slightly earlier as Nina is in the chat. So please, I would encourage everyone to come to our next event in London. And if you can't attend, we are hosting it virtually as well. So it's March 8 hosting Women in STEM at Tech Live London. Tech Live London is a hybrid event in person at Tobacco Dock in London, or like I said, you can tune in virtually via our events platform. We are super excited to be putting March 8 on the stage in front of some high achieving tech industry leaders, which is super exciting. It's obviously an industry where is massively male dominated, and we can't wait to kind of stick our foot in and start the conversation about women in STEM. So of course you can get tickets on our page. The link is in the chat right now. We hope to see you guys there. And obviously me and Lucy would be there on the day, and we'd love to meet everyone. That's something that we look forward to most. So in attempt of wrapping up today's show, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. It has been an absolute pleasure. We will see you all in 2 weeks. Lucy, do you have any finishing words?
Just want to say thank you for joining us. I'm really looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible at the show.
Absolutely. And as always, everyone, take care, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.